A lot of people swear by cheat meals and cheat days as the key to their success, but in reality, they might just be the very thing that's getting in your way. So as a dietitian, whether I'm just looking out into the world in general or working with my one-on-one clients, I come across all different kinds of things in the world of nutrition and lifestyle and diet that people swear by as the key to success. And one of those is this idea of the cheat meal or the cheat day. So real quickly, if you're not familiar, the idea behind a cheat meal or a cheat day is that you have certain days where you're on plan for whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, and then you have meals or days where you're allowed to go off the plan and you can basically have whatever you want. It's kind of a free-for-all. And the idea behind this is that it allows you to be a little more strict in the way that you're eating, but not feel deprived, because you do have designated times when you're quote-unquote allowed to have those foods that aren't fitting in with your plan. And at first glance, this really seems to be a great tool to have moderation. So you're not being super strict with what you're eating because you're still allowed to have those other foods, and so it helps you find that balance in the way that you're eating. But in reality, cheat meals and cheat days can actually do the opposite of that, because here's the thing, with cheat meals and cheat days, this whole kind of structure of on plan and off plan, this isn't something that's going to last a lifetime, right? This is not something you can do day after day, week after week for the rest of your life, because it just doesn't fit in with the flexibilities of everyday life. You don't have weeks where you only have one day to eat quote-unquote bad foods, and that's the only day. Some weeks there might be 3 days. Maybe you have 3 birthday parties that week. Another week you might be sitting at home doing nothing all week. You're just eating your kind of standard meals. You're not going out. You're not really having opportunities to have some of those extra foods that you wouldn't typically eat. And so this kind of structure just isn't something that you can follow for a lifetime. And the thing is that that's what we want, right? We all want a lifestyle that lasts, something that we can do that really sticks. And that's what I talk about here a lot is, how to build those habits and how to build a life that you don't have to stress about. It's just the way you live your life. It's not something you have to be thinking about. Is this on the plan? Is this off a plan? Can I have this? Can I not have that? It's just the way you live your life. And the other thing with cheat meals is that they give food morality. So it really divides food up into these categories of good and bad. And the reason that's a problem is because it really messes with your mentality around food and your relationship with food. For one, it puts bad foods up on this pedestal, so they become even more alluring and even more of a draw, and you feel even more desire for those foods because you're not allowed to have them when you want them. And I mean, of course there are foods that are going to be more nutritious and nourishing to our bodies and foods that are less so, but it's not about good and bad. It's just about learning to build that lifestyle that supports our health, but also helps us be able to enjoy all of those other parts of life that we want to take part in. And another part of this is that it can really pull the enjoyment out of food on both sides of the coin. So whenever you're eating the quote-unquote bad foods or the foods that aren't allowed, there's a sense of shame or guilt that goes along with it. Even if it is on the designated cheat meal or cheat day, you're still attaching this morality to the food, and that can make you feel negatively when you should be enjoying that great piece of cake or that cookie or whatever it is that you're eating. And then on the flip side, whenever you're eating the good foods, there's a sense of duty or obligation or lack of choice. You have to eat these foods. You're not able to choose these because you want them, but they are what is designated for you. And so it's this sense of almost like punishment, like this is what I have to do, not what I actually want to do. And so with that situation, no matter what you're eating, you can't really enjoy the full experience for just what it is. And that isn't something that's going to help you live a full life. I mean, for me, I can enjoy a piece of cake at a birthday party just as much as I can enjoy a nice, fresh, warm tomato that I just picked off the vine in my garden in the heat of summer. They're both very different foods and they serve different roles in my overall lifestyle, but I can really enjoy and savor them because I'm choosing them. They're not something that I'm allowed to have or not allowed to have, that I have to eat or I'm not supposed to eat. I'm just eating them because they fit with my lifestyle. They give my body what I need and want at that time. And no matter what the situation, they're what I choose for myself and no one else is choosing it for me. So really what we end up with is this kind of all or nothing mentality. Even though it gives the illusion of moderation, it's still really separating things out and making this line between the foods you can have and the foods you can't have. And another thing about it is that it can promote binge eating behavior. A lot of times for cheat meals or cheat days, it's really easy to overeat because these are these foods that you've put up on this pedestal that you have this allure and attraction to and you want, and you've been depriving yourself of them. So now when you can have them, you tend to overdo it. And I think a perfect example of this is if you've ever looked into the bodybuilding community. If you go on YouTube and follow bodybuilders on YouTube, you know, they'll show what they're eating, they'll show their training, the process up until the show. But something else that's very common and I've seen quite often is the day after the show. And this is after this time of, you know, being strict with what they're eating, then they have this big binge the day after because they can have all the food they wanted to have that they couldn't have. And, you know, they'll eat boxes of donuts and get all these cupcakes and cookies and they put whipped cream on everything and everything is so indulgent and decadent and it's kind of this pendulum swing. And so when you have these cheat days, it's kind of like that, but to a less extreme level, you know, because it's happening on a weekly basis as opposed to after, you know, weeks or months of training and then the one big day. But it's still this swinging back and forth of good and bad and allowed and not allowed and cheating and not cheating. And life isn't like that, and we don't want to live our lives in a way where we're promoting a disordered eating pattern, where we are putting ourselves in a situation where we're likely to binge on food. And also the result of binging, besides just being generally not very good for us, it also doesn't make you feel very good. And while some people will say on the cheat meals or cheat days, they eat a normal portion, they just have a food that, you know, doesn't exactly fit with their plan, I think for a lot of people, that's not what happens. It turns into a binge eating situation, and that's not something that we want. Ultimately, it's all about finding balance and being in charge of our own lives. We want food to be a part of our life, but not to be our whole life. We don't want food to rule how we live and to control us in that way. We don't want to be in a position where we can't enjoy the things we want to enjoy, or that we feel this attachment to food, or this obsession, or this preoccupation with food, because overall that's not a healthy place to be, and it's also not a fun place to be. And this path to a healthy lifestyle isn't a straight line, it's a process, and there might be times where things don't work out exactly the way you want to. Maybe you go a little too far with the fun foods, the foods that don't really give your body much nourishment, but they are fun to eat and part of a lot of our social activities. You might find yourself in a place where you do overeat on those, and you can tell it because you don't feel very good. Either your stomach feels upset or you feel sluggish, you just don't have the energy that you normally have. But that's a learning opportunity. That's a point to say, okay, that was too much. And then the next time, you know, like, I can enjoy this food, but I don't want to go too far to the point where it makes my body not feel very good. And it's not that that's a bad thing that happens. You don't have to feel guilt for it or shame for it. It's just an opportunity to learn something else about yourself and to be able to make those tweaks and adjustments as you're carving out this lifestyle for yourself, something that's customized to you and fits you and helps you to live your life to the fullest. And you know, if you're saying, no, I do cheat meals and it works for me, I don't have binge eating mentality or good food, bad food mentality, none of these things are really seeping into my mindset and how I view food, you know, that's on you, it's your experience, I can't speak to your experience, but I do think it's something to look at objectively and to see, you know, are these things coming into my mindset, and what are the downfalls of this sort of style of eating, and to just really be aware of that and take a look at it, because the goal here is to be able to have great health and vitality and nourish our bodies and just feel good moving throughout our everyday lives, but to not have these restrictions and boundaries that can take the joy out of our life and cause problems for us down the road. So that's how cheat meals could be getting in your way. I hope you like this video, and let me know in the comments what your experience is with this, whether it's cheat meals or some other diet plan. Have you ever fallen into these traps of diet mentality that can really get in the way of you fully enjoying your life? And if you are new to my channel and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, make sure that you subscribe. subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you're loving the free info here, but you're finding that you need something a little more personalized, don't forget that I do offer one-on-one nutrition sessions. So if you are interested in that, just let me know and we can get that set up for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.